Happy Winky Wednesday to all of you out there checking in on our San Francisco 49ers midweek here, turning the page from week 5 to week 6. And man, the 49ers coming strong on the road. It's not just Levi's. It's not just Levi's South in Los Angeles. It's 3,000 miles away in Carolina. The 49ers fans coming strong. We're going to get into everything going on with your San Francisco 49ers on today's episode of Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you as always. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by BetterHelp. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional therapy done securely online, available to people worldwide. And they have a special offer for our listeners. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/locked on. As I mentioned in the open, it is a Wednesday. You know what that means? It is a Winky Wednesday. Let's bring on today's guest, Mr. Nicholas Winkler.
Nicholas Winkler, come on down. Wow.
Wink, what was it? How'd you feel watching this game Sunday? Not only the 49ers performance, the dominating defense, beating up on Baker Mayfield, coming away with a big victory on the road, but like when Kyle Juszczyk makes a play and the entire crowd in Carolina, like this isn't a known place where there's a whole bunch of 49ers fans all yelling juice. There was a quote actually from Jeff Wilson this week. Is basically said, it's a home game. After our first touchdown, I looked around and said, this is our place. I felt like it from the moment we stepped on the field. I mean, it's got to be a huge boost for a team like the 49ers to go into hostile territories that aren't very hostile.
Yeah, I mean, we know the faithful travel well, right? I mean, that's just a given. That's something we've gotten used to over the years. And yeah, Carolina's a bad football team. So a lot of their season ticket owners were probably like, I got to get some money back. I know the 49er fans are going to show up. I can sell these tickets for a good price, make a bunch of my change back. And I mean, that was just a bad football team. You know, it was good. I didn't like how early on they kind of kept them in it. You know, it's like they were getting close to the end of the half. And I was like, how is it still 10-3? Like this doesn't feel right. This is one of those games where something bad's going to happen. All of a sudden they're going to lose this football game. Like what happened in Denver, you know, like I was worried, but then they scored the touchdown and then they came out in the second half and just dominated. So that was good to see, but I want a little more throttle, I think, early in the game.
A little more throttle. Yeah. Croc and I talked about that in the Rapid React episode, I think it was, like the pick six. If the pick six didn't happen, you know, it was like, that could have been a tighter game. And we saw both in Chicago and in Denver where the 49ers can be 5-0 right now, right? They couldn't figure it out on offense and really step on the gas. But I will say that if Jimmy Garoppolo kind of plays like he has been, the 49ers are in a great spot, right? And some people will tell us we're Jimmy haters. Some people will tell us we're giving Jimmy too much credit when we give him a game ball. Wink, how about your unbiased opinion here? What did you think of Jimmy G, how he's been playing the last couple of weeks?
I think he's looked great. I mean, you know, he hasn't gone out there. He's not the reason that they're winning these football games, but I think he's made some solid passes. We've seen him step up in the pocket. We've seen him avoid, you know, a couple of situations. And actually, you know, there was even the run, you know, and the slide, which you really like to see too. I think Jimmy's done exactly what the 49ers need him to do. And that's, you know, put the ball where it needs to be most of the time. You know, he's going to have those Jimmy throws every once in a while, but that's what quarterbacks do. You know, every quarterback, you know, isn't going to be perfect when they go out there. They're not going to, you know, light the world on fire every time they go out. And Jimmy never really lights the world on fire, but he did enough. He put some good passes on Aiyuk. He put a couple good passes on Debo. You know, we saw them trying to get Kittle involved early. That was nice. I mean, you mentioned Juszczyk. He's a mismatch everywhere he goes. So that was fun to see. Jeff Wilson running hard. Like, I like what Jimmy's doing. He's doing just enough for the 49ers not to lose these football games. And you know, he's putting up good numbers while he's doing it.
Even in Croc, like 5-1 touchdown to interception ratio, that's the winning formula with Jimmy G that this team needs. If that continues, the Niners are going to be pretty golden. And that's counting a weird kind of bad Jimmy game, right? The last couple of weeks have been even better than that. So do you think, Croc, that the offense has a place to go that's potentially even better than we've seen? Or do you think it's just like, okay, good, just don't give it away?
I think what we saw last game is more so of what the 49ers traditionally have been with Jimmy Garoppolo under center. It's definitely more ideal when he does not turn the ball over, which he hasn't done over the last couple games. And I believe, Brian, was it you that brought up this would be the first time in his career, if he doesn't turn the ball over against Atlanta, that it's 3 straight games without a turnover?
I did not bring that up, but that's a good step.
Yeah,
That's something I would bring up, being that I'm an amazing broadcaster, and I usually bring up really good things. So I'm glad you thought of me first, but no, I didn't come up with that.
Right. So yeah, that'd be exciting. I think it might have been my guy Mike Shields, but I think that'll be really exciting to see them continue in the trajectory that they are, running the ball well, especially as well as they did last game. And that was probably since the Bears game, the best the 49ers have really ran the rock. And probably since before, I think Elijah Mitchell got hurt. Because when Elijah Mitchell was in there, they were moving the ball. They were running very well. Trey Lance was running. And then since then, there's been a drop-off in rushing yards. Well, they really got it back this game. So keep that going, play off of that. And I think that's the recipe for success for the 49ers.
You know what I hear, though, when you bring up that stat, Croc, is that Jimmy's due for a bad Jimmy game in Atlanta.
Oh, man.
Like,
You said it. I didn't say it.
Don't put it out there.
I don't buy it. Can't believe it.
That was a reverse jinx. Reverse jinx there. Jimmy's going to do it. No turnovers, 3 straight games. Would love to see it there. Wink after week 5, though. Anything you stinking on? There's always a little wink in the stink somehow.
Yeah, man. Come on. Stop getting hurt, man. Every week you saw that they put up the breakdown of every week they've lost an important starter to this football team. And it happened again with Mosley going down. And, you just hope that Bosa's injury isn't too severe. I think, even if he's close, I think maybe they should keep him out this week. It's the Falcons. Maybe you give this guy a rest. You need him the long term, right? And the defense is playing so well despite these injuries that keep stacking up. And I was impressed with what the offensive line did too. Another week together, that was good to see. And luckily they didn't lose anybody either, because that if somebody else goes down on that offensive line, man, it's going to get real thin.
Right, and they're not going against a powerhouse defensive line this week either. So I think they can, hopefully get healthier a little bit over this week, hold some guys out like Bosa. There's no reason to, you need him for the long haul. That's well said. So no reason to press that if they think it's even close that he could re-injure himself if he goes out there and plays in week 6. But, the Falcons are not a team that is going to roll over. They've proven that this year too. So it's going to be, a fight. And I think the Falcons will come a little stronger. I don't think it's going to be another, home game for the 49ers, but man, the Empire has been traveling extremely.
I'll be in attendance.
They're global. Croc's going to get fired up. Yeah. What section can we look for you in, Croc? Are you going to be
I'm up in the nosebleeds. So really, when I go to these games, it's not even so much to actually go to the game. I like everything kind of leading up to it. Our guy John Chapman has the gold rush thing, get to interact with 49er fans. And for me, being in Arkansas, Southeast Arkansas, I'm kind of down here by myself a little bit. They got different little chapters of 49ers, fans and things like that, but they're like a few hours away. I think there's one in Dallas. There's one in like a northern part of Arkansas. But where I'm at, I'm by myself. So I like to go to these road games, interact with fans, and actually watch a game with people. So I usually, if I can, I'll get a ticket in the nosebleeds, and I'm chilling up there.
Yep.
And you get the better view, too. I like being able to see
you see everything. You got your all 22.
I like seeing the plays kind of, play out. A lot of people like being really close. I don't like being close. I like sitting up top, chilling, and getting a good view. And I think they have tickets a little bit more expensive than the Panthers game. I look at those prices. They had tickets going for like $55. Atlanta right now, the cheapest I've seen is like $80. So I'll get one of those.
Yeah. Get a cheap ticket, and you'll probably have to be fend off a little hangover. Hopefully, by the way, anybody out there that's going to be around the Atlanta game, go to the Chapman 49ers Gold Rush road trip. Is that what it's called? Gold Rush Road Trip?
Yeah.
.com, something like that. And buy Crocky a shot the night before. And so I want him to be fired up and feeling good in Atlanta.
Hot Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nice too.
They
I think it's
ball.
gonna be. Well, I mean, obviously it's indoors, and I've been to that stadium. Really nice stadium.
Mm-hmm.
That's the cool thing about traveling around. You get to experience other stadiums and kind of some things that are a little bit more historic, like Soldier Field. That was cool going there. The Minnesota Vikings. going to that stadium. I've been there. Looks amazing. Atlanta has a nice stadium. It's a new stadium, nice new, architecture and everything like that. So it's pretty cool to see the different designs that some of these teams have. 49ers, it's a little bit more basic. I think a lot of people dog the 49ers, the way that it's kind of made up. I think a lot of it because of the sun. But I think they have a nice, cool, clean look, nice, clean design to it. You have the open ends, which I think is a nice little touch to it. Maybe it doesn't look as futuristic as some of the more recent stadiums that have kind of popped up in the last 5 years. But, yeah, a lot of nice stadiums you get to experience.
Next, of course, we're going to get to Wink's Wish Watch. We can't forget about special teams here on Locked On 49ers. And talk a little bit about 49ers scheme, how things are getting schemed up here, what the 49ers can do maybe with Brandon Aiyuk, George Kittle, get everybody more involved and help this defense or help this offense really click as there's a ton of injuries mounting on the defensive side of the ball here heading toward week 6 of the NFL season and those first place San Francisco 49ers. Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. It can be tough to train your brain to stay in problem-solving mode when faced with a challenge in your life. When you learn to find your own solutions, there's no better feeling. And sometimes talking with a therapist, just checking in, making sure you're hitting those points that you need to hit every single week is so important for your mental health and staying in front of the challenges in your life instead of getting overwhelmed by them. A therapist can help you become a better problem solver, making it easier to accomplish all of those goals, no matter how big or small in your life. And with BetterHelp, it can't be easier to get the therapy you need. And everybody needs a little from time to time. If you're thinking of giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. Super convenient. The accessibility, the affordability, much more affordable than traditional therapy. And everything's entirely online. So it can be done at your pace. It can be done with however you like to do it. You can do, with voice, with calls, with text, with, face-to-face online conversations with a therapist. You get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey. It's super easy. I've done it and gone through the process. You get matched up. And then if you don't like the therapist you're matched with, it's free and easy to switch therapists at any time. When you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedon today. Get 10% off your first month as well. That is betterhelp.com/lockedon. Thanks again, everybody, for making Locked On 49ers your first listen every day. Make sure you're checking out the NFL Key Predictions every Friday on Locked On NFL. Locked On's local experts give you the inside scoop on the 5 biggest games of the NFL weekend, including Sunday and Monday Night Football, plus betting advice from the field's leading experts, BetOnline. Follow NFL Key Predictions every Friday on Locked On NFL, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. All right, Croc, talk to me a little bit about what you saw on Monday Night Football and what you thought the 49ers could do to maybe scheme some things open a little bit more with Brandon Aiyuk and George Kittle. We know how they scheme things open for Deebo Samuel. Do they need to be more work, do more work getting the other guys involved? They kind of did that in the opening drive, right, with George Kittle, and then they didn't really target him as much. But I loved seeing that opening drive. I thought it was the best opening drive of the season for the 49ers. I love seeing George Kittle getting peppered with targets early.
I think when you have big-time players, you find different ways, whether it's creative or sometimes it doesn't even have to be that creative, but just kind of the obvious to get the ball in their hands. And I'm sitting there watching Monday Night Football, and Davante Adams, for most of the game, felt like an afterthought in the offense. And I just couldn't understand it. I'm like, wait, you have Davante Adams, you're lining him up on the outside like he's just this traditional X. And not saying he can't do that. And even then, if you just look at the yardage, well, he had like 150 yards or whatever it was, 2 touchdowns. That's awesome. But the targets weren't quite there. He maybe had 5 targets, 6 targets. And I'm used to watching Davante Adams get a ton of targets, right? I mean, there were games where I feel like consistently with Green Bay, he's getting 10-plus targets a game. And you do that to get one of the more dynamic receivers in the league, just get the ball in his hands. And they were very stagnant with what they were doing. The Raiders were lining them up. Hey, left side, stationary, X receiver, run your route. And that made it easy for teams to be able to bracket him, get over the top of him, have help. right? You help the defense out when you do that with Davante Adams. And it was almost like Derek Carr really liked to work the side to the concept side, like the trip side. And there were times where he'd pop up and bro, he's not even looking at Davante Adams. I thought that was pretty ridiculous. When you look at what the Green Bay Packers did with Davante Adams, it was he's motioning consistently. I think I saw Davante Adams motion one time in the second half of the game last night. That's ridiculous. With the Packers, he's motioning all over the defense, motioning to tight splits, motioning to a stack, making it to where you can't really double him. And we've seen that with Cooper Kupp as well. Cooper Kupp's moving all over the defense.
Every play.
Offense. People are like, why can't you double him? Why can't you bracket him? Well, look at how they're utilizing him. And they figure out different ways to get the ball in their best playmakers' hands. Well, when I look at the 49ers, and see, I'll bring that full circle. I look at the 49ers, and you see Brandon Aiyuk, and I'm like, he's getting three catches. And I'm like, Brandon Aiyuk is better than 3 catches a game. I watch him. I watch when he catches the ball. If you just want him to consistently line up on the outside and just beat man press all day, maybe that's not going to be the best way to get him to free him up and get the ball in his hands and utilize his dynamic ability. Motion him around. And I know you got Deebo Samuel. I know you have George Kittle. But I feel like between George Kittle and Brandon Aiyuk, I feel like they can do a better job of putting those guys in situations that are advantageous to them, and in turn is advantageous to the offense. With freeing your guys up, getting them better catch and run opportunities, as opposed to just everything has to be 100% about, hey, we're going to line you up here, tight split. 49ers do a lot of motion, but it's Kyle Juszczyk motion and back and forth, motion to the backfield. Deebo Samuel, they do that with him. But Brandon Aiyuk, I think he can have much more volume in his targets. And for a guy, when you see him catch the ball and he caught the ball over the middle against the Panthers and then he breaks a tackle and he starts to get upfield, and it's like, man, I think there's more to it. Now, again, I've been critical of, beat man coverage more often. But, like, all right, if NFL is tough to beat man coverage consistently throughout a game, why don't you help him out? Motion him to tight splits, do things to where he's running underneath, get the ball in his hands out in space. And I saw the Raiders, and that was my main gripe with Davante Adams and his usage last night, even though he had like 150 yards still. The targets weren't there. And that's kind of my gripe with George Kittle, who I think they definitely can get the ball to more. And again, I know I'm going on a rant here a little bit, but a lot of people are like, oh, man, they leave him in the block. That's why he's not getting the target. No. They leave him in the block maybe 4 or 5 times, maybe. He's going out for passes a lot during games. And, hey, man, let's get the ball in his hands. We saw one play where it was like a screen to him or something like that. They call it legal man downfield. When you just get the ball in his hands and he breaks a tackle, breaks another tackle, drags guys to the 1-yard line, like, get the ball in playmakers, man. He's a playmaker. Get the ball in his hands a little bit more.
Yeah, I have been a little bit I mean, look, Kyle Shanahan is, great play caller, great offensive mind, but there's, nitpicking sometimes, but it's like, yeah, come on. Get the ball in their hands a little bit more. In Wink, I think we've talked about this before, multiple seasons. Sometimes with Kyle Shanahan, I want him to just be like, you know what? Whatever you scripted at the beginning of the game, just run those again, because it seems like that's some of the best offense have in some games. Yeah, dude. Yeah, flip it the opposite side. What's the flip button in Madden? You're like, yep, go to the other side with this.
Yeah, no, you got a great point. They even mentioned that he scripts another like 8 to 10 plays during halftime to come out during the second half. So I want to see more of what was working early, right? They took the shot to Danny Gray again. Juwan Jennings is really just, he's proven it again this year that you get the guy in that ball, get the ball in his hands and he'll make stuff happen too. He'll run through somebody. It's fun to watch him play football too. Just another weapon that this 49ers team has. And yeah, I love the scheming. I love what you said too, Croc, about really just moving more guys around. Because, yeah, you see Deebo, you see Juszczyk, and then you see Wilson. Like, those are the 3 guys that move around, basically, and that's it. Let's get Aiyuk moving around. Like, let's get Kittle moving around. Dude, I love what Kansas City does with Kelsey. Like, it's incredible what they do with him. You watch that Monday Night Football game, you saw what they did with Travis Kelce. Yeah, what, like 5 catches, 4 touchdowns, 25 yards. It was something crazy like
he scored 4 touchdowns. He averaged 3.6 yards a catch.
It was wild, but like the plays that they were running to get him open on these things, like, yeah, that's talking, talk about some offensive genius right there. Like those were some schemes that they drew up, and let's find some ways to get the ball into Kittle's hands too. Maybe just 1 yard from the line of scrimmage and let him go out and do what he does best, which is run after the catch. I like what you said, Crocker. I'd love to see more Aiyuk too. Move him around. Let's go.
Think about how many tight window throws Jimmy Garoppolo typically has to make, and look at some of the passes and how contested they were, even in the Panthers game. So now we are nitpicking here a little bit. You look at the points, 49ers scored 37 points. I credit 2 of those touchdowns to the defense because you had 1 pick six and you had another one where they got to stop. So again, I'm continuing to think of different ways that, okay, how can the 49ers keep this thing going? How can the 49ers get this offense going? And I think part of it is, hey, don't just line your guys up. Deebo Samuel has never been a guy that's just consistently going to beat man press, right? I mean, if he does, it's by a slim margin, then he'll catch a ball and maybe break some tackles and then do his Deebo Samuel thing. But, man, how about motioning, just stick with me here. You got twins to the right, in a stack, and then motion Deebo Samuel from the left all the way to the right to where he's the furthest outside guy versus man, run those other guys through and just run them on a drag route. Like, when's the last time you seen just Deebo just run a drag route right now? And where now you have guys going vertical, that guy in man coverage on him will probably get picked. Deebo Samuel's going to have 3-4 yards separation. Now you get the ball in his hands on a drag route, and he's off to the races. Like, I feel like that should be like the obvious thing to do, especially versus man. But the 49ers, they line up, green 80, green 80, okay, it's man coverage. All right, we know it's man, but what are we going to do? You don't change nothing. It's just, all right, Deebo, now you got to beat man coverage. And he's like, well, that's not really my biggest strength that I give to you. I just nitpicking, but I just think, like, figure out different ways to get the guys the ball versus man coverage. I think that's an area that they can definitely improve on.
More thoughts on that, the things that could really take the offense to the next level. And actually, I have another question for you, Croc, about Davante Adams and that Monday Night Football game and what happened at the very end with the wide receivers running into each other. I think you might have some perspective on that one. But first, I got to let the folks know about BetOnline, your number one source for football betting information this season. How about those San Francisco 49ers now back up to 11-1 odds to win the Super Bowl, which is the 4th best odds in the entire league, only behind the Bills, Eagles, and the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl now. So some helium for those San Francisco 49ers as it pertains to winning the Super Bowl. And you can bet on such things at betonline.net, your continued source for not just NFL football betting and information, but all the sports out there, NBA getting going, Major League Baseball, MMA, boxing, golf, Vegas casino games as well, even live betting, which is always super fun, and up to the minute scores on every sport out there. So head over to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. You mentioned it a little bit there, Wink, and just seeing Danny Gray. I like having Danny Gray active and on the roster, and they've taken a couple shots here, and we've seen a little bit of Jimmy G slinging it a little bit this year, which I like, playing a little bit free. Didn't work out great in one of the games. Last couple of games worked out nice. I think one of his best throws ever as a 49er was the throw he made to Tevin Coleman, where he's under pressure, getting hit, throws it up there, lets his guy make a play. Sometimes you got to let your guys make some plays, right? And when you get that one-on-one, I think Danny Gray, one of these games, they're going to start hitting a little something there. Even if he's only getting a couple targets per game, because look, we're talking about getting all these other guys extra targets. The Niners don't have that high volume of a pass game where Danny Gray's all of a sudden going to start getting 10 targets along with Aiyuk and Kittle and Deebo Samuel, right? But if they hit one, that's where I think things are really going to start to open up for this offense. Because not only you get the big play for Danny Gray, teams got to respect it. It's going to be on tape for the next team they're playing against, right? Open more things open underneath for Kittle and Deebo. And it's just, everything else starts to hum. But maybe I'm looking for that. Maybe that's what happens this week in Atlanta. You got to hit that one to Danny Gray. They've taken a couple shots. I like it. Keep trying it.
Yeah, they're going to be on turf, so maybe he runs a little bit quicker. Maybe they do have that chance. But it's funny you mentioned that Tevin Coleman, pass, because, I mean, if the DB comes down with that ball, then everybody's like, Jimmy be a Jimmy again, just throwing it up there, But Tevin Coleman went up and made a play. I mean, that was an incredible catch. I love that he called him Tevin Campbell too. I don't know if you guys know who Tevin Campbell is.
Oh, this is the old
Tevin Campbell too. I don't know if you guys know who Tevin Campbell is.
Oh, this is the old R&B singer. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me what you want me to do. I started singing that song when he said that. I was like, that was a nice little flub there.
Tevin Coleman's been getting called Tevin Campbell for a long time. A lot of old heads
love it.
Make that mistake.
So
Wink,
good.
did you pick up Tevin Coleman in your fantasy leagues?
No. My team is stacked. I put up 200 points this week, man. I'm feeling good.
Did you have Kelsey and Josh Allen?
I know. I don't have Kelsey. I have Andrews as my tight end. No,
Oh,
but I
yeah.
had Josh Jacobs who went off. I had, Justin Jefferson. I had a good week.
And Peacock, I just got a message from someone. He DM'd me just now. He actually tagged Wink as well on how to potentially recover your Twitter. So make sure you remember that.
Wait, hold on.
Paul Lawson. Remember that before we get off the show. I'll bring that up on the air.
All right, shout out to Paul. Hopefully it's not another hacker. He's really trying to do me in.
Double hack.
Double hack. I didn't even do anything. I just woke up one day and someone else had control of my account, and that was it. Croc, what the heck happened on that play, 4th and 1, with the Raiders and the two receivers running into themselves? Was that on Adams not getting off the line quick enough? Because that's what it looked like to the layperson, but I am not a DB wide receiver expert.
That is on Adams. You got to get vertical right now. Now, the one thing I would like to see is who is on the ball, who is off the ball. All right. So if, let's say, typically you want one guy to be up to get going right now. So Adams would have to be the guy on the ball, right? But then being on the ball, now you're closer in proximity to the cornerback. So it's easier to get hands on the closer to the receiver is to the line of scrimmage. So he got washed. I thought Renfro did a good job of releasing inside, pushing up field, and then coming out. That's supposed to give you enough time to be able to clear out. And Adams just didn't. He just didn't. And they ended up running into each other. Also, the quarterback was under extreme pressure. So he didn't even have time for it to maybe you could say Renfro has to be a little bit more patient. Well, any longer, I mean, your quarterback is sacked. So I think regardless, it was kind of a lost cause.
Yeah, and that's a pretty long developing route for Renfro to run too on that deeper out. That is, it's going to take some time.
Well, it's blind to him too on his left. Like he doesn't know where Adams is, right?
Right. Yeah. And what's funny is I think both guys look like they were going to be open. Like it took them a while, but Davante Adams too, I think was going to end up having a step. I think the play was designed though to clear out and go to Renfro underneath, probably, right, Croc? Especially
when you brought up Adams, I thought you were going to talk about him pushing that cameraman down.
I mean, that's another. He's going to get suspended. I mean, that was
watch that. Hey, have you watched that video though? The guy bumps him first. It's a bump push.
Yeah,
he gets bumped. The guy's not looking where he's going, and he walks right into Adams. I mean, he should not have pushed him, but the guy bumps him first, 100%.
It's those are chaotic moments. Like everyone's running around. Like guy's just trying to do his job. He's got like a boom mic or something.
But as you guys know, the whole thing is like you're there to cover the story, not be the story, right? He's got to have his head up, man. Don't run into the wide receiver.
Right? I mean, you have all the players. You're supposed to wait for the players to walk off the field. Like you see them coming, you just kind of stop. They go by, and then they go into the locker room. He walked literally, and again, I'm not blaming him.
Right in front of him.
I'm not saying that Davante Adams is right to push a guy. He's not right to push him down. All right, but between him and Jordan Poole from the Warriors. You have to take some accountability for how it played out, right? Like you got to understand, like, what's the circumstances here? And when you're this dude with the boom mic or whatever, don't walk right in front of the players. Like, okay, they're going. Okay, let me walk by. He literally bumped and then he pushed him down. Should not have pushed him down.
Well, especially don't run into the guy who just got ran into on the last play by his teammate. Like he's his helmet, he was upset. Got ran into.
Yeah, can't take it out on the boom mic guy.
No,
but yeah, between him and Jordan Poole, I don't know if we've discussed this, but y'all saw the video, right?
He pushed him first. He started it.
No, he didn't start it. I won't say he started because clearly Draymond Green was feeling some type of way and walked up on him. Like Draymond
he put hands on him.
His space.
Yeah.
Now, there's some things here, and some people are like, it's not the streets. Listen. Every team I've been a part of, there are fights. Every single team. Yeah. There's not one team that I've been a part of at the professional level, college level, whatever, that there's not fights amongst teammates, like every single time. Now, those fights, typically the video of it doesn't go out, but I've seen it everywhere that I've been.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So I know those things happen. Now, here's the thing. If you are not ready to throw hands, even if it's your teammate, whatever, if you're not ready for that, which people talk about teammates and stuff like that, I think people forget, like some of these guys ain't cool. Like it's not like some of these guys, when they're, when they done playing or practicing, like, oh, hey man, what you doing later on? Want to hang out? Like a lot of these guys don't hang out. You have your little clique, a couple guys you hang out with, and other guys is just like, that's just my teammate. I don't really like mess with them like that. Not saying that's the case. I'm just saying that's a scenario. But Draymond he's talking. He's woofing. You see the other guy, Jordan Poole. He's talking. And I've heard that he's a big trash talker. All right. That's fine. If you're a big trash talker, that's fine. Just understand what comes with that. Somebody might not be cool about it. And at some point, okay, you talk trash, you talk back and forth. I say this to my son, like, dude, I hope you can fight because you talk crazy, right? Draymond's talking. Poole is talking. And at that point, once you see Draymond taking it to another level, if I'm not trying to take it I'm not trying to meet that energy, then you just shut up. Just be quiet, shut up, and it'll go away. But instead, he keeps talking. So what happens? Draymond walks up on him. All right, now, once you push him, which all he was saying, like, get out of my space. I think that's what he was doing. Get out of my space, get out of my face.
Still.
Right? Well, but once you do it, you are letting him know, like, okay, like this is the reaction I was looking for. So now I can swing on you. Where I fought Poole is once you see the energy that Draymond has. Once you push him, you gotta be ready to go. You see what he's on. You gotta be ready for whatever might happen. Maybe nothing happens. Maybe you push him and Draymond just says something back and maybe he pushes you back and then people break it up. Or maybe he's ready to bomb on you. So just be prepared for whatever. And clearly Poole was not ready or prepared. And I think that's these younger guys, this younger generation. They talk a lot of trash. Not knowing there's some guys with more throwback mentality, which Draymond's probably in his 30s, I'd assume. Right? Yeah. So it's a different era. You got different eras going on. You got the era where you can talk trash and nobody's going to say anything or do anything. And then you got the era where, hey, you talk trash, we kind of handle it a different way. And they clashed and one didn't think something would happen.
I think online has a lot to do with that too.
For that.
But people get really tough when they're talking trash online. No, of course not. But like you said, like maybe he just didn't realize that was going to be the next thing to come because it's never happened before. He's always talked trash and it's just been words, and then, that you're right. He had no reason to hit him. That was dumb. That being said, Jordan Poole put hands on him. It's just like taking it right back to, what happened with Davante Adams. Like the dude ran into him. He's just trying to clear his space. What if he had tripped over that guy and tore up his knee? There's a lot of things.
Davante Adams just sees a guy running at him with the stick in his hand. What if that's like a crazy fan that jumps out of the sword?
Yeah, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
I know they're going to kill me in the comments already.
Croc over here.
We all.
I can't believe it.
I think people don't like Draymond Green. So I think they are even more like on edge with the situation. People like Jordan Poole. He's an up and coming star.
Yeah.
He's the next guy for the Warriors. Draymond, the grumpy guy. He's always starting stuff. People don't like him. So it's like, Draymond Green, he should be suspended indefinitely.
Yeah. I mean, both guys deserve the trouble that's going to come their way because they screwed up. Right.
You're right.
You can see it from the other side at some point. I'm not going to victim shame like Eric Crocker, but with the Jordan Poole thing too, he's like clearly doesn't think it's that serious. And like if someone gets into your space, you have to be able to push them off and to expect. And here's the other thing: if you deal with Draymond every day, it's probably nonstop. You're like, here's Draymond again, just like, dude, shut up. It's probably like that. He doesn't swing on somebody every single day, So it's probably a little bit of boy cried wolf with Draymond just nonstop, always being kind of weird, and you don't expect he's going to actually take a swing at you. I wonder how many times he gets in somebody's face and chests up, and someone pushes him away or whatever. And it wasn't like a hey, let's go push up. It was more like he was over here. He's like, just get off me, dude. Yeah, he wasn't even looking at him. He's like, get out of here.
But that's what I'm saying. You got to be looking at him. When he invades, just me. If somebody walks up on me, whatever it is, you could be at a desk job, and if somebody walks up on me. And, these things probably don't happen in that environment, but because I've got that. At my job, that can't happen. That's not the rule. If I'm at a desk job and there's this back and forth, and they walk up on me into my space, I'm going to probably go into fight or flight mode. That's just where my mind goes.
Right.
To where at the very least,
nature.
I am prepared. I am prepared to defend myself however I have to. Because I don't wait to see what somebody else is going to do. I've seen enough of that where somebody waits and then they end up like Jordan Poole. I'm not going to wait to see what you're going to do. Right. Like, I'm just not. I'm not acting like I'm the toughest guy. If you are not, like your mind doesn't work that way, then just shut up from the beginning and it won't escalate to that. But once you keep talking, it's almost like you're antagonizing a little bit.
Right.
And, things happen. I liked watching Jimmy Ward and DK Metcalf, and they're mic'd up, right? And you just see them just going at it. With Jimmy Ward, we've already seen what he's about, right? We saw him take off on DeAndre Hopkins. People forget that, right? Practice field, boom, boom, and the next thing you know, they're throwing haymakers, boom, boom, boom. Like, now, not teammates, but just in the sense of somebody invading your personal space. And where the trash talking can lead to. I mean, it can happen.
That's the difference between Nick Winkler and Eric Crocker from Stockton, California, Draymond Green from Saginaw, Michigan, and Jordan Poole from LaPorte, Indiana. I mean, that's, I think, what we're talking about. Different streets that these dudes grew up on. Yeah.
I think that's the one.
Yeah, LaPorte.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Wisnowski, look good.
Oh,
2 kicks,
Wishwatch.
both inside the 20. He missed that first extra point. That was nasty, but he made the second one. His second
one was also shanked left. The dude deflected it.
Dude hit it in. Yeah. It was like a tip. It was like a Draymond tip in.
I think he was going to miss the second one, too.
I think he was, too.
All right. There's Wink's Wish Watch from week 5. Thanks everybody for making Locked On 49ers your first listen. Croc and I back tomorrow. We got Aaron Freeman. We got to do the old crossover, getting ready for week 6 already of the NFL season with your first place San Francisco 49ers. Croc and I back tomorrow right here. Locked On 49ers.
See ya.